Hi guys, this video is about our full potential and how energetically we can access more and more of our true potential in these times of light energy that's coming through. So the sky is not the limit, our beliefs are our limit. We have no limits. What you believe is your limit. So what I want to bring to light for you guys today is that I have done many processes over the last 4 years, and I'd like you to read the descriptions of this, because sometimes what I channel comes through in the writing and sometimes what I channel comes through in the video. So if you do both, you'll probably get more understanding of the message I'm trying to get through. And I'd also like for you guys to take a deep breath and to ask permission to feel, not only see and hear what I'm saying, but to feel what I'm saying. Because what I've been shown and what I've been channeling over the last 3 years is that we are put into boxes from the day we're born, but we're not put into these boxes. We have free will. So when somebody says to us, when we're born and they feed us 3 times a day, this psychologically, subconsciously puts us into a program, a paradigm, that then for the rest of our lives, unless we choose to change it, we now believe we need to eat 3 times a day. Now, the cells in your body are very, very clever, because whatever you think and whatever you speak and whatever you say about yourself, your cells adapt to. So I've proved this to myself by doing 14 days with no food and water, 2 whole weeks. I've done 40 days without food, just water and 1 juice a week. And in October, I'm doing 40 days with no food or water. And I'm in contact with people that have done 90 days with no food, no water and no sleep. Now, this is all about changing up the paradigms, programs, the subconscious beliefs that we may have had instilled in us from a young age from friends, family and school teachers that at the time believed that this was for our best interest. And if I'm honest with you, it was for your best interest. It was for my best interest, because the vibration of the planet at that time required for us to vibrate at a certain level. Therefore, we needed to ground ourselves and eat certain foods to lower our vibrations. But now we've come out of an iron age or a dark age, it's time for us to really rise these vibrations up. And people are really, really doing this on a mass level at the moment. I'm seeing people doing some amazing things. One of the latest things I've channeled and been shown is that we actually don't even need to breathe. I've had a past lifetime where I didn't need to breathe. And that by eating food which has cellular memory, my way of describing this in my talks is that if I was a DVD player and I place a horror film into my DVD player, I'm going to project a horror film. So if I'm eating something that's very highly stressed, very anxious, very scared of its life, like meat, I'm going to eat that meat, and now I have to process and project that. So what I'm going to see in my reality is going to be very low vibration, very fearful and very anxious. And ultimately, when I was eating meat, I felt very, very anxious, depressed and fearful and not full in my power. And when I cut it out and started eating vegetables and fruits and nuts and whole grains that contain a lot more light and vibrate at a higher level because they're live foods, they vibrate at a higher level and contain a lot more electricity. You only have to look at an apple or cacao through a Cerulean photography camera and you'll see the energetic field around it. Now, we all have an aura, an energetic field. Now, when all this bollocks about COVID-19 and coronavirus come out, I made a big stand within myself. I looked up what corona meant, and it means crown, or the aura of plasma that surrounds the sun. Now, you have 7 main energy centers that run through your body. You have 114 in total within your body, but these 7 main ones finish with, guess what, a crown chakra. It's purple. So I made a big stand at the beginning of this, that this was the opening of my crown chakra, that I was ready to shine, and that my aura of plasma that surrounds the light that I am was now strong and shielded me from everything. And I've been going out from day one. I haven't met anyone with coronavirus. I don't hear anyone with it. I don't watch TV. I don't watch the news. It's not part of my movie. If you're subscribed to that, then congratulations. It made a short cameo in my life and I told it to fuck off, and now it's nothing to do with my life. My movie is all romantic comedies, happy and life. And guess what? Because this is what I think and what I see, this is my life. Now, what I want to explain to you today, and what I really like you to feel in this message, is that proteins, fats and carbs were boxes that were designed. And I know this because I was very overweight as a youngster, and I did the Atkins diet, which is high protein, low carb and high fat. And I lost a lot of weight, and then ultimately through my eating habits I put it back on. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to test this and see if I can do it the other way. So I eat high carbs, low fat and medium proteins, and guess what, I lost the weight again. And it was nothing to do with, scientifically, these two things contradict each other. But guess what, science, if you look for something strong enough, your belief, you will eventually find it. So this is why all the science things you're reading is just absolute bollocks, because scientists are basically if you pay them enough money, they'll look for something, and when they put their attention and energy on it, they're going to find it. If you pay them enough to look at the opposite fact, they will find that too. So when you're told proteins, fats and carbs, people now know, industries now know, that if you're eating lots of fats, you are going to be putting on weight, because that's what you believe. We all know someone who eats 7 to 10 McDonald's a day and never puts on any weight. Why? Because their belief is strong enough that they're never going to put on weight, that they've got a high metabolism. High metabolisms don't exist, low metabolisms don't exist. It's your belief, what you put into something. Energy is the most important currency we have at the moment. Forget money, energy. The energy exchange with each other, the energy exchange with your food is the most important currency we have. Every time I have a meal now, I only eat generally 2 times a day. I have a 16 to 18 hour fasting window period, which means all the energy that I eat gets used up and I'm connected and I can channel whatever information I need to. When I think of something, it comes to me very quickly. I don't really have to study too much or learn. I don't want to maintain or withhold information. I want to be able to access it whenever I can, because we live in a quantum field of information, and when you're connected to it, you can ask a thought and your guides will set off at placing the causes out there for the effects to happen. So you then have a synchronicity or a bridge of incidents that you walk over and it gives you the answer, or a trail of breadcrumbs that you then eat and follow and it leads you to the answer. You don't need to be learning and withholding information. Channeling is when you just connect and you ask a question and the answer comes through you. This is how a lot of psychics work. So now I've transcended proteins, fats and carbs. The only reason I'm talking to you is because I now work with people and I get them to overcome and transcend these proteins, fats and carbs. You can do this with anything. You can do it with sleep if you want to. I do a lot of out-of-body work and a lot of astral work, so I do tend to sleep a little bit. But if I tell you I've monitored my sleep and my heart rate for the last 4 years, and when I eat food, I sleep for 8 to 9 hours a night, because my body is busy using energy to process all of that food and to work through that cellular memory. And ultimately, the cellular memory that's stored in that food affects the way I feel. This is why yogis like Sadhguru will not let someone who's angry give water to his daughter, because that water has cellular memory and it's absorbed some of the energy from that person. Now, unless you take that water and you know this and you do a little energy clearing on it, you're ultimately going to absorb some of that anger and some of that negativity, and you're going to have to process that. Now, we can get very good at processing this, or we can take that water, we can take that fruit and vegetables, we can take whatever we're eating, we can sit there. And basically, when you say grace to food, this is the hidden meaning. This is the esoteric meaning behind saying grace in the Bible. Gratitude is in the top 3 highest vibrations there is. You've got gratitude, unconditional love. Now, when you think and you feel and you project these things, your vibration raises to an extent that when you go out, your life is like you're on cloud 9. You invoke your own particular heaven. So saying grace over your food, saying you're grateful for it, you're grateful for the people that grew it, you're grateful for the earth, the sun, the water, the air that nourished it, you're grateful for the people that transported it to you, you're grateful for the people that sold it to you, you're grateful for the people that marketed it to you, you're grateful for everyone involved in that chain reaction, that cause and effect to get that food onto your plate. Now, when you eat that food, all of that gratitude, you just blessed technically 10 to 20,000 people in one go. Now, energetically, you might not realise, but you've just sent out blessings to 10, 20,000 people. And unless you've asked to feel into this video, you might not understand this. You might think, what's this crazy person talking about? But have you ever noticed, if you think, I haven't seen Jane for 2 years, and then bang, Jane turns up, it's because you put that thought out there, you invoked it, you created the magic, and you cast the spell with enough energy. Energy is, well, emotion is energy, emotion. So when you put that emotion into that thought, you projected that thought out there with enough energy, emotion to now bring that person to you. And instead of thinking, oh, this is a coincidence, I only thought about it yesterday, if you stop and you say, oh, hi, I was just thinking about it yesterday, it's really strange, but there's a cause and effect while I'm here with you. What are you going through at the moment? You will hear a message from them, and they might be going through a divorce, they might be going through some hard times, they might be going through some weight issues, but when you talk to them, you might find that there's a correlation between what you've been through, and you might be able to pass on some knowledge or a message to that person that they are needing to receive. Now, I'm going to keep this message to 10 minutes because I want to pop this onto Instagram, but I'll probably continue with it another one straight afterwards. So please stay tuned for the next one. If you're watching on YouTube, it will just slide straight into the next one. Thank you for watching this. Namaste, lots of love. If you're watching on Instagram, this will be the follow-up to the last video. If you're watching on YouTube, this will just blend straight in. But if you've met that person and there's a message between you two, I'd like to say to you, the word angel in Greek translates to messenger. So All of you watching this are angels. We're all angels with certain messages that need to be passed on to someone. Now, unless you're energetically connected and channeling that message, you might miss out on passing that message to someone. And ultimately, when you miss out on passing that message to someone, you might not get a message that was for you. Now, this message for you might not come through that person, but what I found is when I'm connected and when I meet someone and instantly they say something that I feel I have something to say, when I speak to them, you can tell when someone's listening because a light comes on. When someone's not listening to you, you can tell that their attention and therefore their energy is washy-washy all over the place, or they're trying to interrupt you. But once you've delivered that message to that person, I know that within an hour when I walk off, I'm going to go off and someone's going to come up to me and say, oh, I've heard that you don't have to breathe anymore. And I'll be like, yes, because I passed on that message. Now I'm energetically connected. This person has now given me an answer, and it's a very random answer, but I know it's cause and effect because I've been thinking recently that some people have transcended breath. And looking into it, I found people who are doing hours and hours without breathing now. Now, this sounds like very, very crazy to some people, and depending on your level of vibration, depends on what you see, because veils come down depending on your level of vibration. If you found this video, some of you might have switched off on it already thinking, this guy's with his shirt off, he's probably going to push me a load of protein products. I'm here to say to you, fuck off the protein products. You don't need to eat, you don't need to sleep, unless you want to. Your beliefs create your reality, and ultimately, we need to, if we want to, work through old subconscious programs, paradigms, and beliefs that we have had instilled within us from schools and family. Now, the way to do this is to access the subconscious and decide consciously that we want to change them. So when you now say consciously, I want to go a long period of time without food, I'm guiding roughly 20 people through a 7-day guided fast at the moment. Last month, I took about 130 people through a similar process, slightly different, because I have about 4 or 5 different fasting programs that I run at the moment, ranging from 3 days hard dry to 24 hours hard dry, with some periods on fruit, periods on liquids, to even somewhere you wouldn't drink any liquids and you get all of your liquids from fruit, because the waters in fruit and vegetables are live, molecularly structured waters that have a slightly different impact on your body when you eat them, because they're not still water. The waters we drink generally should be spring waters that come from a live moving spring. Or from fruits and vegetables, or if you're into it, which might sound gross to some of you, urine therapy. Urine therapy is one of the best things that I've looked into over the last 18 months, and thankfully had a friend bring it back to my attention recently. There's even quotes in the Bible that says, drink from the fountains within yourself and you will stay young. Something to that effect. There's many different proverbs, and it's been translated in different Bibles in different ways over the years. But there's also some other great sayings, which when I was at school, like many of you yourself, I wasn't interested in religion. I found it very, very wishy-washy and didn't understand it. But after my awakening sort of 4 or 5 years ago, I decided that there was more to it, and I decided to take a second look. And like many of the films I used to watch, like The Matrix and Fight Club, they all of a sudden, now my vibration was different, I perceived it with my perspective from a different perception. So now everything I looked at had a different meaning for me. And when I read quotes in the Bible like, as within, so without, as above, so below, which is also the Hermetic principles written by Hermes, Thoth, or Mercury, depending on, well, he was thrice-born, so he had 3 different lives. When you realise this, your level of vibration is constantly changing due to your surroundings, your thoughts, and your internal dialogue. Because your internal dialogue is more important than anything else. It's more important than the food you're eating. It's more important than the people you surround yourself with. Everyone would have heard that you become the sum of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with. That is true unless your internal dialogue is very, very strong, because vibrational transference or law of attraction, you will ultimately pick up the vibrations of the people around you. And if you're hanging around with someone who's always like, oh, I'm always fucking ill, and life's so shit, and I get pissed off all the time, that person is internally programming their subconscious to keep going over and over and over and over this. It's very easy to get out of this, but it seems difficult at first if you've never done it. This is why I help guide people through this process at the very beginning. Because a lot of the people that come to me and they say, yeah, I'm going to do a 7-day hard dry fast. And the first fast I ever did was 7 days hard dry. I'm the sort of person, if I'm going to do something, I research a little bit of it, I feel into it. And if I feel I'm going to do it, that's it. I'm doing it until it's done. And I did 7 days, no food, no water, and no contact with water. Now, I get a lot of people come to me with a similar mentality, but ultimately they get to sort of day 3 or 4, and the internal program starts saying, Humans are designed to eat. You're not here to not eat. You need to eat. And this is industries. If people know you've got to eat 3 times a day, you've got to spend money 3 times a day. When you do a hard, dry fast and you realise how much time and effort is put into food, not only is it eating it, it's thinking about it, it's preparing it, it's going out and buying it. You're probably unaware of the fact that a third of your day is focusing your energy on food. So to actually detach from that, it's taken me probably a good 18 months. I started this process 3 years ago, but it's taken me 18 months to get to the point now where I will regularly just go, do you know what, I'm not going to eat for 5 days. I won't lose any muscle, I won't lose much body weight. I've even recorded a 20-day fast, which was just water, where I said I'm going to lose no weight at all, and I lost 3 pounds. I then went 2 weeks later and said I'm going to do a 5-day fast, and I'm going to lose 1 stone in 5 days, and I lost 11 pounds. Now, this was nothing to do with food, it was nothing to do with the water, it was to do with the intention I was putting into the water and the internal dialogue I told myself every 20 minutes before I went to bed, because this is when your conscious mind drifts off to sleep and your subconscious sets about repairing your body and setting up those breadcrumbs, those bridges, those causes for the effects to take place. This is how powerful each and every single one of you watching this video is. You don't need anything outside of you. Once you clean the inside of the cup, the outside of the cup becomes clean. This is another saying in the Bible, and this tells you that when you spiritually, mentally, physically and emotionally clear out your body, your vessel, this carbon meat suit, this vehicle you have chosen to embody in this lifetime, your soul, your spirit, your mind, your body, when these are all clear, you don't need anything outside of you because you're creating everything outside of you. You've taken the reins back from anyone or anything that was taking your focus and your energy. In the Matrix films, they're all plugged in. It's like unplugging yourself. You're unplugging yourself because now you're not watching TV, now you're not watching radio, now you're not listening to your friends that are talking bullshit. Because you've taken away your attention was doing this because you was on TV, radio, friends, media, school, parents, friends, kids. If you take a bucket and you punch loads of holes in it and you try and fill it with water, that water's going to piss out all over the gaff. Now that's what you're doing with your energy when you're watching the TV and you're listening to all these people. You're just pouring water into a bucket that's got loads of holes in it. But ultimately, when you take your power back and you take the reins back, you go, nope, no TV, no radio, not listening to that bullshit, cutting that off. And when you cut it off, your attention practically does that. Now, where my attention goes, my energy flows. Now, imagine if my energy is flowing out of that, I ain't going to damage nothing because it's just pissing out all over the place. But imagine if my energy and my focus is now shooting through a tunnel that tight. I have now got pressure. I'm creating pressure, and I'm putting that onto something, and it is creating it at such a rate. If I was to say to you, my life over the last 6 months, now that I'm putting these pieces together, everything I think starts to come up. Everything the next day, I want this, I want to do this for this person, I want to shed this. Because everything I do now is for my highest good and my highest purpose, for the highest number of people, you now technically become a carer for everybody. So you never think anything negative about anyone else. You always see everyone as exactly where they need to be right now. No one's doing anything they shouldn't be, because ultimately we're all going through a different process. We're all multi-dimensional beings. Because I'm standing here seeing things in this way, some of you listening to this will be thinking, this doesn't really make sense. But if you've opted to energetically feel what I'm saying to you right now, there's a part of you right now that's like, okay, I'm not quite understanding this, but this guy is making some sense. And you'll come back to this video in a few weeks and you'll go, that's what that crazy bastard was on about. Or you'll be walking down the road and you'll see a sign on the side of a bus and you'll go, that's just giving me the answer to what he was saying. Or you'll be listening to the radio or sitting in a restaurant and someone will have a conversation on the table next to you and you'll go, that makes sense to what that lunatic was saying on the thing the other day. He's actually quite clever and now I understand what he was saying. Again, these videos are going to be kept to 10 minutes, so I'm going to cut this one off here. If you're watching YouTube, this will go straight into the next one. If not, it's going to cut and slide onto the next one. Thanks for watching. So this is the third video if you're watching this on Instagram. If you're watching on YouTube, it will flow straight in. So what is that underlying meaning of what I'm saying? You have 9 clear senses. I want you to look this up yourself. I don't like to guide you too much on this. If you want my guidance or my mentorship, then please do get in contact at mindbodysoulspiritcoach@gmail.com. But I like to plant seeds and then for you to go and look at it, because your vibration is different from mine. So if I say you have 5 senses: touch, taste, sound, smell and sight. There are 5 trees in the kingdom of heaven. They do not change throughout the seasons, and when you learn how to use them properly, you will be a master of this. Now, I believe these are the 5 senses, because when you learn how to use these 5 senses in the physical and with your 6th sense in the non-physical is your gift to go into the white room Neo goes into in the Matrix. When you close your eyes and you meditate and you shut off your 5 senses, touch, taste, sound, smell, sight, and you go within. Once you go within and you're in that white room, when Neo says guns, and he gets a plethora of guns coming in, when he says helicopters, when he says kung fu, this is what happens when you meditate. This is when you build in the non-physical. When you build that in the non-physical and you keep doing it, you then apply the emotion to it. So by applying the emotion, I say, when you're in that, say there's a tap in your non-physical that you're building, I get people to walk around houses that they want. They walk into the kitchen, and when they turn the hot tap on, you put your hand on the hot tap and you feel that warmth in your hand in this physical, but also in the non-physical. Now, the more you learn how to do this, you're building something in the non-physical, you're adding the emotion, putting the energy in the motion to match the vibration of what you're building, and you're bringing it forth. This is basic law of attraction, but just explained to you in a way that I have seen it and how I've adapted it for myself. So when you learn how to do this in the non-physical, which is your 6th sense, I'd also like you to look up the 9 clair senses. These are senses like clairaudience. A lot of psychic people already have clairaudience, clairvisual, clairsentience. Now look these up, they all have different things, and when you look up these 9 clair senses, have a pen and paper and write down the ones you will instantly feel drawn to, because we're at a time in humanity right now where we're stopping using this. We're not really going to think about things, because our monkey mind, the more we think about it, the more we complicate things. What we're stepping into is an era is when we're going to lead from the heart. We're going to feel into things. We're going to go, your gut has a brain in it, your heart has a brain in it, and you also have a brain here. We're going to go by intuition, the lower 3 energy centers. So we have the root chakra, the sacral, and the solar plexus. And when you use these to think, it's intuition. Sorry, it's a gut feeling. Then when we go into the top 3 energy centers, throat chakra, the 3rd eye, and the crown chakra, this is intuition. Now, when we use these, it's generally connecting the heart chakra, and we're using feelings instead of thinkings. So when you feel something, you've probably noticed you'll feel, oh, something's good going to happen, and you'll lead onto it, and something good happens. And sometimes you'll feel, oh, something bad's going to happen, and you go to it, and something bad happens. You need to start paying attention to these feelings, because if you feel something bad's going to happen, just fuck it off and don't do it. And when you feel something good's going to happen, get excited about it, because the more you get excited about it, and the more you think about it, the better that excitement, and the better that feeling, and the better that experience is ultimately going to happen when you walk over that bridge or follow those breadcrumbs. So it's a very exciting time to be alive. I'm not going to go too much into the whole Iron Age, Dark Age things. If you want to know more about this, then please do like, share and subscribe this video. I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover. I do get a bit excited when I'm channeling sometimes. It does get a bit fast. You might want to watch this video several times. But please do share it with anyone who you feel will resonate towards it, or you feel needs to hear this information. I love you all lots. Namaste. Thank you for watching this video.